Today I find myself at Gloucester Road. This is a station in West London on the District, Circle and Piccadilly lines of the Underground. And it's no secret that it was also on the Metropolitan line, as you can see from this rather delightful mosaic sign. And therein lies a tale. So if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you're probably aware that in the early days of the Metropolitan and District Railways, the two companies did not get along. There were various reasons for this, not least the fact that, for a time, the railways were managed by men who were arch-enemies. But the reason that's relevant here is this. The Metropolitan Railway was supposed to build a circular route to serve the whole of central London and link the mainline railway stations together. You would know it as the Circle Line, but they knew it as the Inner Circle. Now, Gloucester Road Station was not, as you might expect, actually built by the District Railway, but by the Metropolitan. In 1863, the Metropolitan Railway only ran from Paddington to Farringdon and was authorised to extend to Moorgate. On the 29th of July 1864, a couple of acts were passed by Parliament to allow further extension, to Tower Hill in the east and to Notting Hill and Brompton in the west. As for the rest of the circle, it was to be filled in by a new company, the Metropolitan District Railway, which was authorised to build a line from South Kensington to Tower Hill and thus complete the circle. Once the circle was complete, the Metropolitan Railway would take the district over and everything would be great forever with absolutely no drawbacks. Oh wait, did I say everything would be great forever with absolutely no drawbacks? I meant the complete opposite of that. The Metropolitan opened Gloucester Road on the 1st of October 1868 and South Kensington on the 24th of December that same year. Also on the 24th of December, the District Railway opened from South Kensington to Westminster. Their trains were operated by the Metropolitan Railway, which of course made sense. After all, it was going to be their line soon enough. For this, they received a 45% cut of receipts. In 1871, things really went south. Or rather, they didn't. That was kind of the problem. The district had run into financial difficulties, construction slowed right down, and the Metropolitan were breathing down their necks about money. The district were unhappy about the amount they were paying to the Met, which they felt was an unnecessary obstacle to them getting their line built. So they decided they no longer wanted anything to do with it. From the 1st of July 1871 they declared their official independence. They bought their own trains and started running their own service. The two companies would jointly run High Street Kensington, Gloucester Road and South Kensington stations. But there was an issue here. If the district were going to use the Inner Circle, they'd have to run over Metropolitan tracks, which of course they would have to pay to do. Since the Metropolitan had more track, it looked like the district was back to square one, still paying the Met far more money than they wanted to. So they decided to do something a little bit dodgy. The original Act that authorised the District Railway had given them the right to duplicate the Metropolitan tracks between Gloucester Road and High Street Kensington. Brilliant! The district could run their own railway through one of the richest parts of London, and they wouldn't have to pay the Metropolitan a penny. Except they couldn't do that. The right to build that line had been struck out of the Act before it was passed. So what is a poor railway company to do except build it anyway? Which they did in 1870. This section of track, known as the Cromwell Curve, was opened on the 5th of July 1871, only 4 days after the District Railway became independent. Thus did London acquire its first illegal underground line. Of course, the Metropolitan objected. I mean, wouldn't you? The dispute dragged on for over 30 years, finally being decided in the Metropolitan's favour in 1903. The whole thing seems rather futile. As of 1878, receipts had been adjusted to a 50-50 split between the two companies, and they hardly used the Cromwell Curve anyway. They did briefly run a service from West Brompton to Mansion House over the curve in 1871, but when that wasn't successful, they mostly abandoned it. The curve was finally closed and lifted in 1956. This was a time when the railways of Britain were being run down. So there's something weirdly appropriate about the fact that the site was built over for the West London Air Terminal, which opened in 1957 and closed completely in 1979. Now Sainsbury's and a block of flats sit on what was the curve, although these houses do follow the course of it. There are some other relics of this fractious era. Have you ever noticed the way Gloucester Road and South Kensington have disused platforms? That's because they no longer need to accommodate two different companies' trains. At High Street Kensington there's now a pair of bay platforms. These were once where the District Railway trains terminated, while the Metropolitan ones went straight through. And of course, all three joint stations still bear signage for both companies. Hello, I hope you enjoyed this prohibited tale from the tube. If so, you can sneakily leave a like to let YouTube know. If you really liked it, you may wish to subscribe like a thief in the night for more videos like this one. Certainly, I'm far from done talking about the bizarre rivalry between the District and Metropolitan Railways. Thanks as always to my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. You are the Cromwell curve to my District line. But good and useful. And I'll see you all again very soon for another tale from the tube.